Hello everyone and welcome to Day Trading Forex Live. This is Sterling here. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Forex Bank Trading course. We've had a lot of questions about this and a lot of questions about generally the basic philosophy behind what we do, the principle behind our trading strategy. And so what we thought we'd do is throw a quick presentation together. I took out a lot of the presentation and I'm really just going to present one solid piece of evidence that it's something powerful for everybody to think about. And so let's get right into that. The first thing here we're going to talk about is the CFTC Forex Trader Report profitability or the profitability report. Now, this is a quarter by quarter breakdown, so it's not quite clear-cut information as to okay, these, 25% of traders or 5% of traders are profitable overall. This is just a quarter by quarter breakdown, so we can only assume that overall profitability would be much lower. But let's just assume right now it's at 25%. You can see here on profitability on a quarter by quarter breakdown per broker. Roughly 25, 27, 28%. Let's just say 25%, and let's move forward with that number, even though overall profitability from start of account to end of account would be much lower. Let's just go with this number. So what successful business do you know that operates on a 25% chance of success? This is serious, something serious to think about, guys. If you think of this as a get rich quick scheme, then you're not going to have to worry about it for too long because you're going to wipe out your account and you'll be out of the market fairly quick. But for those that want to make a business of this, you got to give this some serious thought. Why would anybody start a business if there was a clear 25% success rate among your peers? Nobody would ever do that. At some point, you have to start asking why. You have to ask, why is that number 25%? And the vast majority of traders do the same thing. Have you ever thought maybe it's not something wrong with the tens of thousands of traders, but rather with the strategies that are taught? So what strategies are taught? Well, this is just a quick breakdown of a few. I actually pulled these off of some Forex brokers on the free education that they offer. Now, you'll find that a lot of these, anything that's bought and paid for, is really just going to be a variation of what you see here. People teach Fibonacci in 1,000 different ways, Elliott wave in 1,000 different ways. You guys know there's hundreds and thousands of indicators, EAs, trading software. Everybody has that one special chart pattern that nobody else knows of. I'm sure you guys have bought a few of those. Price patterns, candle patterns, moving average, resistance, support and resistance, pivot points, etc., etc. Everybody has a combination of this, and then there's 1,000 variations on the original. I'm sure you guys have all been through it, and that's what the masses use. So again, at some point, we got to start asking: is it the fact that 100,000, 200,000 traders are all doing the same thing wrong, or is it the fact that they have the wrong information to begin with? And this brings us to our next point. Then, how then do we as retail traders profit in the Forex market? That's what we're all after. That's the entire goal. That's what's going to get us to where we want to be, is profitability. So the answer to this question is really quite simple. And to answer this question, you got to look at the banks. The banks are the driver of this market. That's an undeniable fact. Just the top 10 banks drive 50% of the daily volume in this market. Because of this, there's a daily fight for liquidity. For every buyer, there's a seller. For every seller, there's a buyer. Therefore, if a bank wants to go long the Euro USD, they must find an equal amount of sellers. This simple fact means they must do two things. One, accumulate a position over the course of time. Two, manipulate the price to create buyers when they want to sell and sellers when they want to buy. You ever wonder why before a major market move, the market gets volatile? Do you think that's just a chance? Do you ever wonder why there's always that last shakeout move before the market trends? The price is manipulated to create buyers when they want to sell and to create sellers when they want to buy. There's trackable ways to identify what they're doing. So because they must do these two things, they leave behind a trail. And this is, again, that trackable thing, that the trackable identification that they leave behind when they're either accumulating or manipulating the price. The Forex Bank Trading course is all about doing something the rest of the market fails miserably to do, and that is to realize the banks already have a Forex trading strategy. Everybody's trying to make a Forex trading strategy. They're trying to apply rules to a market they don't control. The banks have a strategy. Learn the strategy of the banks. If the trading strategy, indicator, EA, price pattern, candle pattern tells you to buy, and the banks have been accumulating a short position, who do you think is going to win that battle? Who do you think is going to be the one profiting there? No amount of MACDs crossing over, no amount of upward triangles, downward triangles, trend lines is going to stop a bank from moving the market down if everything else is saying up. It's not going to happen. The bank's strategy will always win out. The banks drive the most amount of volume, therefore they dictate price on a short-term basis. The banks are the largest business in the world. They trade in a $4 trillion a day market. Do you think the largest business in the world, the largest, most successful business in the world, in the largest market in the world, would not have an exact business plan, aka trading strategy? Do you know of one successful business that doesn't have a clearly defined strategy? The hot dog stand down the street, if it's successful, has a strategy. When he went into business, he had a strategy. He had suppliers, he had a place he was going to set up, he had a business plan to buy his cart. Do you think the largest business in the world within the largest market in the world doesn't have a strategy? It wouldn't make any sense. The bottom line is if you can identify what the banks are doing, you don't need another piece of information. It's a lot like a puzzle. If you're putting a puzzle together, by the time you get halfway through, you know what the puzzle is. It's the same with, looking at a picture. If it was a picture of your wife or your husband, depending on what you have there, who's listening to this, you wouldn't need to see the whole picture to know it's your wife or it's your husband. You'd see a portion of that picture and you would know right away. So tracking the activity of the banks is the same way. There's pieces of information they leave. There's pieces that we as retail traders can identify and repetitively identify on a daily basis, and every pair identify and trade off that information. We use their strategy to trade with the banks. Again, they drive the market. What other piece of information do we need? So the bottom line is, at this point, there's really only two choices. And at this point, you have what I like to call the burden of truth, because when you understand the basic fact that at the very best, and that was a quarter by quarter breakdown, at the very best, 25% of traders succeed, and that is a big overstatement. Let's just assume it's 25. So if we understand 25 succeed, 25%, and we understand the strategies they trade with and the hundreds of variations I'm sure many of you have bought along the way, if we understand the success rate with the mainstream strategies, all these strategies try and do the same thing. They try and apply rules to a market that they don't control. When at the end of the day, Forex trading is very simple. You track the activity of the banks. You don't have to come up with a strategy because the banks rule the market. They already have a strategy. We track their strategy. So those are really the two choices. And that burden of truth will stick with you. There's going to be a lot of people that they've invested years of their life into understanding fibs, understanding support and resistance, all the technical indicators out there, and they will refuse to accept this basic fact that there's a horrible success rate in this market. They will refuse to accept that fact. And the burden of truth is the next strategy you buy, you go through the same process, your hopes get up, you demo trade, it looks good, you live trade, you fail, you repeat the process, you go back into that same cycle. And somewhere in there you're going to say to yourself, maybe he was right. Maybe these mainstream strategies that try and apply rules to a market that we don't control, maybe the mainstream strategies will not work. Have you ever thought that brokers who make money when you lose money, and they lose money when you make money? So think about that for a second. Go to your broker and look at the strategies they teach. If they lose money when you make it, would they ever teach you a profitable strategy? Go to some of those Forex brokers, see what they teach. I bet you it's going to be a lot of what we just talked about. So whether you're a member or not, Chad and I are here to help anyone that truly wants to learn. This is our passion. We enjoy this. We enjoy talking to other traders, helping other traders succeed. So if you have an interest and you're not a member, we really don't care. Shoot us an email. We're happy to reply to you. We will take the time to explain it further and give you a reply to your email if you have a question. Also, make sure you take advantage of the free info on the site. Guys, we're not like all the other sites out there that put a bunch of junk information off on their site. you're going to find a lot of valuable information, and a lot of the information that's in the course is reworded in another way and put on the front of the site. There's a lot of free information that is, is essentially giving you a lot of the keys and tips on how to track the bank's activity. So we sincerely wish you guys the best. And again, if you have questions, feel free to email us. Until next time, guys, happy trading.